This is Lindsay Miller, and you're here to listen to Grow Your Business with Content Marketing. We're going to get started really quickly right at 10 a.m. I know if I attend a webinar, I usually am there right on time. And so give us just a little bit more and we'll get started. If you have questions for me, maybe you're even wanting to know something coming in today, go ahead and pop that in the chat or in the Q&A panel at the bottom of your Zoom window, so I make sure that I cover it. One of the things I realized as I was preparing this talk is this is a really, really robust subject, and I tried really hard to edit down what I was going to say today because there was just so much to cover. So if you have a question that you came in hoping to learn, go ahead. So you can send me a private message through chat. You can post it in Q&A anonymously, or you can put it into the public chat channel, and I'll make sure that I cover that. Because like I said, there's going to be a lot today that I'm not going to touch on to try to give us a great overview and give you a place to start. So we're at 10 a.m. now, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're just going to go ahead and jump in. So if you are just hopping in, we have more people jumping in right now. My name is Lindsay Miller. I'm the lead guide at Content Journey. We have a growing and robust team here, and our specialty is content marketing. We really love organic search. That's our very, very favorite. But if we were to say anything, it's we do content marketing. That's what we live and breathe for our clients. And so hopefully I'll be able to teach you a few things today so that you can go ahead and apply that in your own business or for a team that you work with. So first off, what actually is content marketing? I think sometimes it tends to be one of those buzzwords that we say, and sometimes we don't know what we're talking about. But at the core of it, it's the process of creating and publishing content that's targeted to a very specific customer segment. And then content is typically free. It's intended to engage with your customers and hopefully with the goal of getting them to buy something from you, whether it be a product or a service. And so content marketing encompasses all of these different activities, but there are a few key things in this piece that you have to know. And if you don't, it's a great place to start, because once you figure out some of these foundational concepts, you're just going to keep building on what you have. So first off is your customer segment. Again, this is a buzzword, but basically it means like, who are you selling to? Who is that persona? Are you selling to people of a specific age demographic? Are they speaking a language other than English, or English plus something else? Like, who is your customer segment? Because you have to know who you're selling to in order to communicate with them. And then second piece of this is like, what are you actually trying to get them to do? Are you trying to get them to buy right away? Are you trying to educate them? What are you trying to do with the content? And so you have to know those two things before you can do anything else. I am not going over creating that today. That, I guess, is one of those parts that I decided to delete out. But look for that webinar soon, because Emily and probably Kenna are both really good if I come up with those ideas to schedule something. So we'll have another webinar, I think, probably on that. So just like with everything that you do, start with a strategy. And this is also something we talk about a lot at Content Journey, is we don't do anything without a data-backed reason to do that. And so you need to start with your strategy and figure out what is that looking like. So at the very base, we're going to be talking about creating that plan, defining the type of content that's going to go into your content marketing play. How will it be distributed? Like, which channel does that go to? Is it a blog post? Is it a service page? Is it email? Is it ads? Like, what is that going to be? And then again, who is your audience? So if you don't know the customer segment that you're speaking to, then you don't really know what you're going to create in your content marketing plan. It's also important to note that you can have different types of content that speak to different segments of your audience. So think about the buying cycle. People are coming in and they are brand new to you, they're brand new to your service or your product. So you might just be raising awareness. So the type of content that's created for that person is very different from someone else who's been on your email list for 6 months and is now getting closer and closer to making a buying decision. And that content is speaking differently, and you're even creating something entirely different. So create your plan, define the type of content, define your audience, and then figure out how you're distributing it to each of those audiences. I know it simultaneously sounds really difficult and really complex, but once you start working towards that and creating that plan, it really does come together in a really cohesive and much easier way. So what are the different types of content? Granted, at Content Journey, we talk a lot about blog posts, service pages, and then various types of lead magnets. But there's a lot of different types of content that are going to go into your content marketing strategy and your plans. So here's a very quick list that I put together. So blogs, videos, infographics, long form articles, which can be very different from blogs. It could be more like white paper or something you're not even necessarily publishing to your own site. Social media, everyone's heard me rant about social media, but technically it is a content marketing play and strategy, and it's part of that. Email, I think, is very important and is still a much worthwhile endeavor. Ebooks and podcasts. So all of these plus more are various types of content that you can think about. So blogs may be for your top of the funnel, so your new people that are to you. Videos could be more in middle of the funnel where someone has already been introduced to you, but they're trying to learn more and they're wanting to engage with that type of content. Whereas long form articles or email may be closer to buying stage and buying decision, maybe even podcast or ebook, depending on that. But you can use various forms of these content in different parts of your funnel. But it's really important to note each of those and how you're going to use them. So after you think through the types of content that you're going to create, it's important to set goals, because whatever you don't measure, you don't know if it's working. You don't know if you're spending or wasting your time or your money on those efforts. So you have to set a goal so that you can measure towards those goals. Some examples of goals, and again, all of these are going to be different depending on your business, the type of content you're creating, and where you're distributing those. But it might be as simple as traffic. Do you have consistent traffic that's coming to your website? Are they actually converting? And sometimes conversion isn't the ultimate goal, because if you know that you have more traffic coming to the site, then you go, okay, that's going to lead to more phone calls and more, form entries or more emails. But conversions may be ultimately what you're going to measure. We do a lot of newsletter signups at Content Journey. I personally feel like email is a very worthwhile content marketing effort. We take a different stance on it than other people do. But for me, a newsletter sign up is a good measure of success for us. And so that may be something that's a good measure for you as well. Engagement could be another piece. We often talk about a KPI of decreasing the bounce rate on someone's website. So for us and our clients, maybe traffic has been steadily increasing for 2 years, but if bounce rate is also going up, that means we're not targeting the right clients or the right traffic. Sorry, not the right clients, the right customers for our clients. And so engagement could be another piece. Are they visiting multiple pages whenever they come to the website, or are they just hitting one page and leaving? So those are really important. And then ultimately, maybe it's brand awareness that you're trying to get across. You want people in a specific location to be familiar with your name and your brand. And so that's a different type of content marketing as well, a different type of piece of content that you're going to create, depending on what your goal is. And this is, again, a very short list. There's a lot of different goals that you can be going after for your specific situation. And if you want to talk about that, you can actually schedule a 15-minute call with me on the website, and I'd be happy to talk through your goals and help you identify those if you'd like. The next are, what resources do you need? It sounds so easy to be like, oh, we need a content marketing plan. Or I talk to clients about this. So if you are part of a team and your boss is coming to you being like, we need content marketing, we need marketing, go out and do the marketing piece. And it's like, we don't realize what actually goes into creating various documents. But content marketing is a $300 billion market. It takes time and money to create these things. So it's not just about writing a blog post, it's about producing an infographic, it's designing and editing videos and all of the things that go into that. So you have to say, like, I want to create X amount of pieces of content, but I also need to be able to establish a budget for those things. So if you're part of a team and you're wanting to start producing a bunch of videos, you have to think about who's going to be doing the recording, who's doing the editing. Do you need bumpers on both ends? Do you need an intro and outro? Is there something else, that like logos, that's going to be added to the bottom of each of those videos? Every single part of that video creation takes time and it takes resources. And so as soon as you're thinking about, again, your content marketing plan, you're putting your strategy together, you're deciding what type of content you're creating for which audience, you have to also think about the resources, whose time, talent, and money is going to go into creating all of these pieces. Especially my team at Post Status, and probably my team here at Content Journey too, get really tired of me talking about content calendars. But I think it's absolutely essential whenever you're in any type of marketing role and content marketing role. There's a ton of pieces going out simultaneously. You have new things that are getting published. You have social media that's going out, various social media channels as well. You have old content that needs to be continually repurposed and put out on social or in emails. And all of these efforts need to be organized. It's not just wake up one day and go, oh, I want to send an email out, or sometimes I guess that happens with blog posts, but not always, and not the ones that work the best. But having a strategic plan and a calendar that brings all of those efforts together is really, really a vital component. It can be done very simply in an Excel file or in a Google Doc. We have some of our clients where we organize our content calendars there. You can do something like fancier through CoSchedule. And I even think Kenneth sent us something last week or the week before that CoSchedule is coming out with a free calendaring tool. So there are resources out there to help keep you organized. And if you do nothing else and you take nothing else away from my talk today, creating a content calendar would be the one thing that I would say is the top of the list, because that organization is just really important to reaching your goals. Next is tracking your results. So if you've set goals, you should be able to track to those goals. And I understand sometimes how hard it can be to know that you've said, I want to increase traffic by, let's say, 20%, and to watch that maybe not even go up, but go the opposite way. And it makes you not want to track your results anymore. But it's really important. You have to see which pieces of content your audience actually wants to engage with, so that you can do more of the things they want and do less of the things that they don't want. Again, it's a time and resource and money issue. And so if you're tracking it and paying attention to it, you can lean into the things that people want and quit and save money on the things that they don't want. So KPIs, or key performance indicators, I get so used to saying acronyms and not everybody understands what they are, but key performance indicator is only effective if tracked and reported over time, getting your team on board and making sure everyone is on the exact same page. So a lot of content, and again, blogs, we live and breathe that every day, but they can actually increase in value over time. It's why I love it so much, is you pay for a blog one time, and it should work for you if you do it the right way for months or not even years. And so it's important to keep an eye on those things and what happens. You can't, like, and some things like an email, for example, you get almost immediate return, or like you feel something. You're like, okay, 50% of the people just open my email. That's great. And you can watch people click through it even in real time. Or social media has done this to us a lot. I put something out on social media and people like it, they laugh at it, they heart it, they share it, and I get this immediate result, and I get to see all of that. Blogs, service pages, website, we don't get that feedback so quickly, and so we tend to deprioritize them or their effort or their effectiveness. And so if we're watching those and seeing what's happening over time, it can really give us a better understanding of which effort is actually turning into business, because that's ultimately what we're wanting at the end of every day. So we're 15 minutes into this talk, and I haven't talked about SEO at all. And SEO is something that everyone talks about. We hear that we have to have SEO. Oh, you need SEO. We have, and I don't think that anyone even understands what it is anymore, because it's become this major buzzword of, I don't know what it is, I don't know what I'm trying to do with it, but I know I need it, so here's my money. And so the short answer of, do you actually need SEO, is yes, but it doesn't have to be complicated. And in many ways, there are technical aspects of SEO that need to be handled and handled correctly. But more and more, SEO is content and content is SEO. So we were looking at an article just this morning, and if you're on our newsletter list, you're going to see it tomorrow, where they're talking about search engines are increasingly putting an importance just on high quality content, more than are we talking to the robots the way we need to, but just saying they have to be talking to humans. And so there are still a lot of people out there that quote unquote do SEO, and they're just talking to robots and they're not talking to humans. They're not talking to customers. They're not utilizing content marketing at all. But when done the right way and handled in a way that prioritizes the right aspects, SEO can be incredibly valuable, and it can add to all of your other efforts. But you really have to continually, like, just make sure that you are not making it so complicated. And if you need to, find a trusted person that is going to treat it the right way. But this is more into like our shade and see talk that we give, which is basically, if someone is continually charging you for SEO and not delivering anything else, like over 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, then you probably need to find a different agency, because SEO, there's only so much that you can do with that. You have to be providing other things that go along with that and enhance its value. This is also a good point to say, like, if you don't know how to read your analytics or even access them, that's something to go ahead and correct now. So I guess there's two things to learn from our 20-minute talk today. The first one is to make sure that you have an organization system of some kind through a content calendar. And the second one being setting goals, reporting, and being able to read them. And even if nothing else, leaving today with organization and knowing how to go through your analytics, then you've won, and your content marketing plan is going to be effective. So that's it for today. I thought I was going to talk for 30 minutes. I only talked for 20 minutes. So maybe I edited my talk down a little bit too much. But here's all the places that you can find me. And I'm going to check the Q&A panel now and just see if we have any questions that have come in since we've been talking. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't see any questions yet. Do you all have any for me? We have quite a few people still sitting here listening to me today. I'm guessing there are probably some things you were hoping to come in and learn today, and we went over overview of how to create your plan more than executing on your plan, which I think is going to be our next part next month that the team was talking to me about earlier today, on creating the different types of content and where you're going to distribute them and why. So we'll give this for a few more minutes and see what we have. Oh, there we go. There's a question. So I will answer that one. So do I focus first on SEO or on my audience? I think in order to focus on SEO, you have to know your audience. So I think audience and segments is very foundational. You need to know who your customers are. What we would say is, like, look up a customer persona exercise if you haven't done that before and go over that. Because in order to really effectively come up with a good SEO plan, you have to know who you're talking to and why. So that's a great question. We just had another couple of people hop in. So we have actually completed the presentation point of our webinar today. And so now we're in Q&As. So if there's anything that you came in hoping to learn or a question that you have, go ahead and pop it into the Q&A panel or into the chat, and I will answer all of those, and we'll make good use of our time being more directive today instead of just me talking at everybody. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions pop in. I don't want you all to be shy, and I'm not going to keep you forever either if you don't have things that you're hoping to learn. Again, this recording will go up on the Content Journey blog. We also put all of these videos on our YouTube channel as well. And we'll email that out to everybody who has jumped in and registered today. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.